Hello everybody and welcome to the video. Well, I almost wasn't going to make this video, but I had a request from one of my patrons, Harry. He messaged and said, are you going to do an expenses video this year? And to be honest, I wasn't going to. And I had put off actually adding up my expenses, even though I do record everything. I knew it was more than last year, and I kind of was putting off adding it up. And then Harry asked, I'm like, okay, Harry, so this video is for you. And it's actually been really good for me to do it. It's nowhere near as bad as I thought it was, but kind of what I expected. So here goes. Here are my total expenses that it cost me to live in a van and travel around Australia, and everything else I did, my art supplies and everything, for 2023. So this does not include any of my business expenses that are directly related to business, and which mostly just is things like my subscriptions to my software and my insurance I have to have for that, things like that. That's not relevant to van life. Here are my expenses. Let's start with one of the big ones, food. So my total food cost was $6,902. It's a bit noisy. $6,902, and that averaged $130 a week. And I'm not sure where you're watching this from in the world, but I'm in Australia, and the price of food has gone up a lot in 2023, and that surprisingly didn't come in that much more than last year. So I was pleasantly surprised with that. The next one I have is supplements. So I take things like vitamins. I'm now using electrolytes when I work out, especially in summer because it's so hot. So any supplements, things like that that I get, that came to $769, which is $15 a week. I also supplement my diet with plant-based protein powder because I don't always eat meat, and I do find it really helps, especially as I'm older. So the protein powder, I have a separate category for some of these because that's how I do it in my budget, because they buy them separately. My protein powder was $476, and that was $9 a week. The next category is what I call shower, laundry, and power. So anything I've paid just to have a shower, anytime I've paid to do laundry, and sometimes I pay just to use power. So there's one particular place in Walpole where I make a donation to use some of their power. That came to $190 and $4 a week. The next one is camping. So this year I last year I intentionally paid more for camping. I did a lot more paid campsites. I knew I would because I was going onto the east coast of Australia, and if I wanted to explore more and see more things, sometimes you have to pay for camping. That came to $2,037, which averaged $38 a week. I didn't think that was much. I budgeted $40 a week, so I thought that was pretty reasonable. The next category is a storage unit. So I do keep a small storage unit with some personal belongings in it, and that I'm happy to keep at the moment. It's not very expensive. It was $1,178 for the year, and that's $22 a week. It has gone up, I think, $10 a month starting 2024, but I still think it's reasonable. I'm still happy to keep it. The next category is telephone and internet. Now this actually went down $1,000 on last year, and that is because I had my iPhone on a payment plan when I got it, and that finished at the beginning of last year. So I now own this phone, which I'm using to film on, and so it's $1,000 less. So that came to $1,515, and that's $29 a week. Now the $1,000 I saved on the phone went on the next category, which is petrol. Again, I'm not sure where you're watching from in the world, but the price of petrol has gone up significantly. I also spent quite a bit of time on the eastern side of Australia and in Tasmania, and it's very expensive over there, averaging, I'd say, $2 a litre. So my petrol went up, but it balanced out with the phone coming down. So I spent $5,820 on petrol, and that averages $110 a week. Now, my budget for petrol was $100 a week, so it wasn't terrible, and this year I have put it up because I think at $100 a week with the cost of petrol now, I basically can't go anywhere. Also on that note, I did do 27,269 kilometers last year. I actually do still live in my van, but I'm doing a house sit at the moment. I'm kind of hiding out for the school holidays. I think people are coming home from work. I'm in a very, very small country town. I think people are coming home from work because I'm filming this. Okay, the next category, which hasn't really changed, is my van registration, and that is $908 for the year. And that's only $17 a week. So in Western Australia, it's very different around the world. Western Australia, my van registration includes like licensing to get on the road and third-party insurance. So that's compulsory. My van insurance is the next category. So that's the insurance that I take out, which is optional if you own the vehicle. If you're leasing it or buying it, it's not optional, but I own it. So it's optional to take out insurance. And this is if I have an accident or something. And so I actually did have an accident at the beginning of the year, and my insurance did go up a lot because of that. I hit a kangaroo, unfortunately, and had to make a claim and get that fixed. But it has since dropped a lot. Since I've reached that year, and it's dropped a lot. So that will probably continue to go down. So my total insurance was $1,348 for the year, and that's $25 a week. Next is the van maintenance. So this is any kind of mechanical repairs or maintenance, tires, things like that I have to do on the van. That was $2,075, and that was $39 a week. My next category is what I call my personal insurance, and that's my roadside assistance. So I pay the RAC in West Australia to get roadside assistance, and I do pay for the top cover so that I can get towed further, I can get accommodation if I break down, I get rental cars, that kind of thing. And even with all that, it only cost me $350 for the year, and that's $7 a week. That's a cup of coffee a week if you buy it, well, in Australia if you buy it. So yeah, that I couldn't live without. That's my peace of mind. The next category is donations. So I do still make donations regularly, and that came to $350 for the year, and that's $7 a week. Okay, the next one's a really big one this year, and I knew it was coming. So the next one is my health expenses. So this includes anything I paid for my personal health, as well as my health insurance. So this year, that came to $3,292. And I'll tell you why. I got hearing aids this year, I got 2 new pairs of glasses, and I had a few things done at the dentist. Also, I still get prescription hormones, but that went up a lot. And I have to say, thank you to everybody who watched the video. I had one video in June, I think, that went, I call viral. It's had over 100,000 views, and another one that did like 40,000 views. And because of that, because of you all watching that video, I was able to get hearing aids this year. So thank you very much for that. And I put the money to very good use. I put it to my health. So that averaged $62 a week, and that was $3,000 more than I spent on my health last year, which I don't intend on having to spend. Hearing aids are good for at least 3 years, so I don't intend on having to spend that much again for a while. Okay, the second last expense, I'm saving the biggest to last. The second last expense is Abby, my dog. So this year I've just added all of her expenses together. So this is her food, any treats I buy her, any toys, any things like harnesses, leads, and also her insurance. I have insurance on her, which has gone up quite a bit as she gets older. So total expenses for Abby were $2,243, and that averages $42 a week. So if you want to do it cheaper, just don't have a dog, but I think she's worth it. I think the love I get from her is definitely worth it. All right, the next one, I shaved this is the last one, and this is what I call my spending category, and this is where I put in everything that's not on a regular budget. And this is a lot this year, and I'll share with you why. So it came to was $5,294, and that was it's only $2,000 more than last year. And I'll tell you what I spent most of my money on this year. I'll tell you what I spent most of the money on this year. So some of the big things that are included in there are if I've gone out to a restaurant or gone out to eat with somebody and I've paid for the bill for them, I've included that in there. And I did quite a bit of that this year. I've done quite a bit of socializing. The second thing, if I just buy people gifts or something like that, flowers, anything like I bought myself, like jigsaw puzzles. There's a lot of it's gone on art supplies. Very large amount of that is art supplies. I also had to make some purchases when I did my mini refit on my van. I bought cupboards and a few other things. I've had to buy a couple of cables for the solar panels. I bought new microphones twice because I bought one in January and I broke that one in December, and now I bought this one. And also I have bought clothes. So that's basically, and some shoes, which I bought some thongs and things. So yeah, so basically same as you. I have the same spending category as you when you live in a house, just incidentals that you buy that aren't in your regular budget, but it's your spending money. That's my spending money. So that averaged about $100 a week, which I'm quite happy with. I'm quite happy with that. All right, my grand total for the year, which actually I thought it was gonna be more than this. My grand total for the year was My grand total for the year was $34,749. I think that's pretty good. That averages out to $656 a week. And you know what? It's only $130 a week more than I paid for the last 2 years, and I knew I was going to pay more this year. I intentionally paid more. I can afford it. I can afford to do it. My income went up this year with my business, so I actually can afford it. And people might go, oh, that seems like a lot of money. Some people pay that a week just in rent. Just in rent at the moment. Rents are through the roof, and they pay that just in rent, and that's my whole living cost. And that's with driving around Australia, staying at campgrounds, buying art supplies, going out to restaurants. So yeah, I definitely wasn't trying to keep the budget tight this year. I kept it within reason, but yeah, that is what I spent in 2023. So I hope this helps you if you're looking at doing something like I'm doing. Basically, if you don't pay rent, you have money to spend on other things. That's really is it. I still don't work full time, but yeah, that's basically what it boils down to. I've had a few comments on the last videos like, oh, that's a lot of money. It depends where you live. I don't know if you know, Australia's a very expensive country to live in. Things here are not cheap. Food, petrol, clothes, anything, it's expensive here. Our art supplies, they cost like twice as much as they do in the US. So that is how I choose to live. I can afford it. I'm living within my means, within a budget. So that's it. All right, Harry, I hope you like this video. I'll see you all next time.